Hello, I'm here to show you how to make this little thumb slot when you're knitting these simple and cozy mitts. This is a pattern that could be found on our website under the heading of the free pattern library, and it's also available in kits in the shop. What it involves is binding off and casting on in the middle of your work. So I'm going to show you how to do that, so let's get started. Here's the mitt that I have started here. Following the pattern, I have that little purl bump, and then after that I have 13 rounds. I have my beginning of the round marker right here, and I am ready for the round where I'm going to bind off. If I follow the pattern, it says to knit 2 stitches, just as you normally would. And now I'm ready to start binding off. So I'm going to knit 2 additional stitches after the original 2. Now I'm going to take the previous one and pull it over the most recent one. That is considered one bind off stitch. I'm going to knit another one and then grab the previous one and pull it over and drop it off. That's 2. Each time I am knitting one additional one and pulling over the previous one. That's 3 bind off stitches. Now I'm going to knit one more, and that's 4. I knit another, that's 5. And that's 6 bind off stitches. Each time I'm knitting one additional one. That's 7 as I pull it over and drop it off. 8. There's 9 bind off stitches and one more. And 10. Okay, now I'm just going to knit a few because you're going to knit all the way around, but this is what the bind off looks like at this point. Now you're going to knit back to the beginning of the round marker at this point. Now as I'm coming around back to the beginning of the round marker, I've made it to where I have 2 stitches before the marker, so I'm knitting 2, slipping the marker, and at the beginning of the round I've got those 2 stitches waiting for me, so I'm going to knit those 2 just regularly. Okay, now there are those bound off stitches, so I'm going to cast on 10, and I'm going to use this backwards loop method where I just lift it around my thumb. I'm just making a little loop like this, and I'm doing that 10 times. So I'm just looping it around my thumb, making sure that when I cinch it next to the needle, when I cinch it like this, I'm making sure that I'm not cinching it real tight. You want it to look kind of neat, but you also want it to not be too tight, or else knitting those stitches is going to be really tricky. I did that 10 times. I've got 10 loops there, plus the 2 at the beginning of the round. Now I'm getting the other stitches in place, and I'm just taking that working yarn and I'm knitting the next one. And there's the little slot. Now I'm going to knit all the way to the beginning of the round once again, and I'll show you how to knit those stitches in the next round. Now I'm ready for the next round. I have those 2 stitches, just the regular stitches right here that are waiting for me at the beginning of this round. And now I have those cast on stitches. See how they all have that little ridge, that little loop? I have all of those ridges lined up on the bottom of my needle, so they're kind of like leaning towards the inside of that like circle that is the slot. So now I'm just taking those guys and I'm just knitting all of those stitches. Sometimes I kind of hold on to them with my thumb to keep them in place because they want to be a little squirrely. Remember, they're just like a little loop. So I'm just knitting into each one, just like this. You want to be kind of careful as you knit each one of those stitches, those new cast on stitches. Just go nice and slowly, take your time with these guys. Knit all 10 stitches until you get to the other side. And then just keep knitting around and proceed with the rest of the pattern.